This story begins in South St. Paul, where Doug Woog was born on January 26, 1944. In the feel-good era following World War II, this was a thriving, growing community built on the stockyards and the meatpacking plants operated by Swift and Armour.
That's the basis of the town, is the packing plants and the cattle that were processed and the pens down on Concord Street. And it was like an old cowboy town. It was actually a city before its time in terms of what it had to offer. It was a little bit of wild, it had a little colored side of it at time, but people had jobs in the packing plants. They were able to maintain their jobs. But that's kind of the history in South St. Paul. You know, it really was a put your gloves on, go to work.
Doug's dad catered to this hard-working labor force at his bowling alley and bar on Concord Street, the city's main drag.
People had money. They had optimism. On Friday, when you got your check, you went up to Woog's. You were ready to have a few beers and enjoy the weekend.
In his formative years, Woog played a variety of sports, but hockey wasn't one of them. His dream was to perform at Williams Arena at Minnesota's premier winter event, the State High School Basketball Tournament.
What happened was that we had a great basketball league for the elementary schools. It was about 6 or 7, like Washington, Roosevelt, Jefferson. Basketball was big. We had baskets that you get at the farmer's market. Those bushel baskets, we put those up on the wall in the basement, and everybody was into basketball. And I think I'd have been a real dang good 5'2" guard. I could jump and I could shoot and I could play, and I've been blessed with a good athletic computer.
But his basketball days ended in 1954 when he was diagnosed with an irregular heartbeat and failed a physical. After a battery of tests proved negative, he turned to hockey, first with a trip to his attic, then with a trip to the mud hole.
I went up to the attic to see if we had any skates, and we did, but they weren't the kind that male hockey players use. They're the ones that figure skaters, Sonny Haney's, and it was kind of laughed at, actually, you know. But it looked like I might be accepted, so I got that liquid polish, and I took in those white figure skates, and I painted them with that black polish. And so we had our group, and we'd meet down in what we called the mud hole. I don't know why I was able to skate. Nobody taught me how that I remember. I just picked it up from just at the mud hole in 6th grade, and I was on the varsity playing in the state tournament 3 years later and scoring the winning goal as a freshman in the first round on Thursday nights.
Woog made 4 appearances in the state tournament, including the finals in 1961. And while those games at the St. Paul Auditorium were the ultimate goal, the path to getting there was mostly outdoors.
You went to your classes, you went down to the locker room, straight kind of below us, and out onto the rink. The weather is so bad, you're shifting with guys coming back into the locker room, and 2 other lines would go out, so they're ready to play. You had to improvise. It was cold.
Woog was a 2-sport star at South St. Paul High School, all-state 3 times on the hockey rink, and all-conference on the football field.
I like to make plays. I was the guy in the Tarkington on the game at the corner lot. I was the one that was drawing those lines, and you go here and you go by the 47-4, take a left, go downtown, and I'll hit you with the ball, something like that. That was that was me. That was natural for me, and I had that instinct.
With his football skills, Woog received 2 scholarship offers from the University of Minnesota. The first was from Murray Warmath, whose Golden Gopher football team played in the Rose Bowl in both 1961 and 1962.
I considered the football scholarship not for very long. I got injured at the end of the season, my junior year, and I got a chance to go over there and for training, for rehab. Well, I saw the size of these guys. Judge Dixon, huge, just like he was chipped out of stone. Sandy Stevens, Bobby Bell, Carl Eller. Oh God, I am not fast enough and I'm not scared enough, I don't think, to play in this league. I mean, I love football, but realistically, I'd have been the fly on the screen.
Instead, he chose hockey. And the head coach at the U, John Mariucci. Woog has a significant love and admiration for the godfather of Minnesota hockey. He also remembers the road trips.
John Mariucci hated to fly, so we ended up taking trains a lot of places, and we'd get on a train at night at 10 o'clock in St. Paul, and we'd take the Pullman, the sleeping car, and ride that all the way down to Chicago, get off there, go on another train, eat, great big meal, filet mignon, potato, the corn, everything. The game starts, we go out and play. We're always down 3-0 after the first period. Every time we go in there, we'd be down. And John would start complaining. I'm going to Canada where there's some players. I said, John, who can play after riding on the train for 12 to 14 hours, eating half a cow, and then expect to go beat some 24-year-old Canadians? Those kinds of experiences were also part of the gravy, so to speak, of being at the U. What are the most important memories? John. John made Gopher hockey.
As a Golden Gopher, Doug Woog was a first-team All-American in a career not built on size, but on savvy.
The difference, I think, was the fact that I had peripheral vision. Your mind computerized. You see the field, you see the ice, you're the playmaker. It's that peripheral vision in the mindset that separates you from others.
When he graduated in 1966, the National Hockey League was just a 6-team enterprise made up almost exclusively of Canadians. And while he did play for the U.S. national team in 1967, Doug got on with his life as a coach and a teacher. In a 19-year stint at South St. Paul High School, Woog served as the dean of students and taught history and geography.
First 10-year reunion, one of the guys walks up to me and he says, geez, I'm disappointed you're only a teacher. That stung, you know, that stung, because I thought it was a pretty good deal.
How many times do you think you had to talk between that squad tonight?
As a coach, he worked for 7 years in the U.S. Junior League, now the USHL, taking the reins from Herb Brooks for the Minnesota Junior Stars, the team that would become the St. Paul Vulcans.
We got a chance to win this, and we took it to them pretty good.
As the head coach at South St. Paul High School, one of his players, Phil Housley, is a fellow member of the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame, and 4 times the Packers qualified for the state tournament. In 1984, Doug was an assistant coach for the U.S. Olympic team.
Best job I ever had. You know, you're on the team and you travel, but you don't have to do any interviews. And what I tried to do was create an opportunity for me to learn. We played the Canadians about 10 times. They would do a lot of international type of play in Europe. So you had to develop a system that would work. And I think it was really beneficial for me. I gained so much out of that opportunity that Lou Barrow gave me. I got much more out of it than I gave, I think.
In 1985, Woog returned to his college alma mater as head coach of the Golden Gophers. With a roster made up entirely of Minnesotans, his teams made a dozen appearances in the NCAA tournament. And in 1989, against Harvard, came within the width of a goalpost of a national championship.
Pitlick moves into the zone. Piscarda started a shot off the post, a rebound.
People who talk about the Harvard game all talk about what a great game. Might have been the best college hockey game ever. I have never seen it. I don't think it's a time to feel sorry for yourself. I think you kind of say, hey, take your career in measurement of the whole thing. What did you do? Did you cheat? Did you do it right? Did you help kids? Did you educate? Did you train them as though they were your own kid? I think all this stuff is much more powerful than whether a puck goes in off a Randy stick or not.
Woog married his high school sweetheart, and he and his wife Jan raised their 3 kids in South St. Paul, a community that remained his home despite ample opportunities to move elsewhere. Way back in the summer of 1962, he was part of a crew in the construction of the city's new indoor ice facility, Wakota Arena. Now, future generations of South St. Paul hockey players will gather at the newly named Doug Woog Arena. And this story ends where it started, in South St. Paul, where his legacy will live on for many years to come.
This is a special occasion for our family, all the people from South St. Paul who have a feeling about their community, their kids, their school. The naming of a rink or a building, I mean, I guess in particular a rink that has an active member of the community's name on it, I think that's pretty dang special. And I'm proud, but I'm also humble. And I gotta tell you honestly, it feels pretty good. You know what? Money can't buy that.